is John Wisbey, the Chairman and CEO of International Lithium Corp, listed on the TSXV with the ticker ILC. Well, John, great to speaking to you for the first time. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Very well, thanks, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, no worries. It's good to be speaking. So I wonder if you could perhaps, first of all, just with it being the first time, just perhaps take us through the high-level overview, the elevator pitch, if you like, of the company.
All right. Well, pre the option, which obviously we're going to talk about. We're a TSXV listed company. International Lithium Corp was founded in 2011, or was founded in 2009, sorry, and listed on TSXV in 2011, and it's had various iterations. I became the chairman in 2018, chairman and CEO. And basically have in the meantime, since then, bought into the company, bought more, and I'm the largest shareholder, so certainly putting my money where my mouth is. Our main project is Raleigh Lake in Ontario, which is near a place called Ignis, and we've got smaller projects which are not very active at the moment, which are Fire Steel and Wolf Ridge, which are again are both potentially interesting, but we just don't know the amount of resource there, so we can guess they may be very good, but they may not be very good. So one has to be, that's mining. So Raleigh Lake, we got to the biggest one. We got to the PEA stage at the end of 2023, and that definitely showed a lot of good economics at that time, anyway, based on the lithium price at the end of 2023. And the one thing that will change every day is the economics, because the prices of commodities and also the cost of labour go up and down over time. But the one thing that won't change is the resource. So we've got quite a lot of lithium there. And we've got also quite a bit of rubidium there. And so lithium is its own story. I think everyone understands that it's used for batteries, electric cars, more and more demand for energy. That creates demand for data centers. Data centers are extremely consumptive of electricity. There's going to be a worldwide shortage of electricity if the data center, AI data center trend carries on. And obviously lithium is quite well placed there. It's not the only source of energy, clearly, but it certainly should benefit from that. But lithium prices have gone down a great deal in the last 2 years, just as they've gone up tremendously in the 2 or 3 years before that. We're hoping they carry on up. So, that's an important context, but it's also an important context in being able to do deals like the one that we've just done.
Sure. Okay. So you've been working here since 2018, working on the projects, getting one to that PEA stage there. So then this new acquisition that's come in, so this is an option to buy Lepidico's interest in the Caribib Lithium-Rubidium-Cesium project that's in Namibia. Now, a key thing I noticed from the announcement there was, I think it was a comment from yourself, that assuming the transaction goes ahead, with exercising this option, the company would leapfrog by several years the development stages of other projects that it is interested in. So I guess that's because it already has a DFS, it has an initial resource on it. But before we get into that, I just wonder how this opportunity came about. Is it because of the current climate in the lithium space? How were you able to get this option in the first place?
Part of my interest in my job and also my responsibility in my job is keeping in touch with peer group. And I haven't actually mentioned Zimbabwe yet, but we're looking at quite a lot of opportunities there, but it's taken a long time to get anywhere. I still hope we will. But in the course of that, I started to say, well, who else is active in Southern Africa? So I looked at the names of the various companies, and one that came up was this company called Lepidico. So I did a bit of research on them, reached out to the analysts in London who covered them, Edison, and then I reached out to the CEO, a guy called Joe Walsh, very capable person, and we talked 2 or 3 years ago, and they at that time had a market cap much more than ours, and I always thought they could be a possible cooperation partner because they were looking at the downstream side as well, and which was going to be very costly. Sadly, that company ended up going into administration because getting finance for the downstream side was very, just quite difficult, and so the obvious synergy with what we're trying to do in Zimbabwe was there, and I said, look, we'd be very interested if that was for sale, and so one thing led to another. We talked. We've been talking for several months, and that ended up in doing this deal. It's slightly complicated because they got themselves into an arbitration agreement, which I won't talk about in detail, but basically there was an issue to do with offtake that a Chinese company had said they would take and had paid something up front for. That offtake didn't happen in the way that it had been expected, and then the Chinese took the matter to arbitration in Singapore, and there was a counterclaim by the company against them for not having taken up the product which they were expecting to sell. So I won't go into it more than that. We're still under NDAs and we don't own the company, but that's all public record. Sure. And that arbitration should be settled quite soon. Assuming it's settled positively, we will almost certainly exercise the option. If it's settled heavily negatively, then we probably won't. So that's the that's the background. That's why we structured it as an option. It wouldn't have been the way we'd normally handle an acquisition like this.
Okay. And what are the key things that you like about it then? I mean, is it because it's quite well developed with that DFS that was from 2020 and it's got that current resource? I think it's, nearly 12 million tons at about 0.4, I should say, 0.4% Li2O?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, I'd stress this is all under JORC, JRC, which is the standard in Australia. I can't, in Canada, it's rather like having a degree in Harvard versus a degree in Oxford or something. You tend to think that both are pretty good, but the Canadians don't recognise a JORC resource and the Australians don't recognise an NI 43-101 resource. So we have to smile and work our way around that. But I mean, nevertheless, they're pretty equivalent. So the thing that was obviously attractive that it had done definitive feasibility study. And the resource estimates were particularly attractive because it showed contained tons, which I think of. I mean, you can say it's 100 million tons, but if it's at 0.01%, it's not much, right? Mm. So the contained tons for lithium under the JORC numbers are about 46,000, and the rubidium about 22,000 tons. Now these are valuable metals. Lithium, I don't need to tell you. Rubidium. It's a very opaque market, and there are very few people who know. But that's a lot of rubidium, and so that's very interesting to us. I mean, we then did some research. We discovered it's the biggest declared rubidium resource in Africa. There may be undeclared ones, or there may be undiscovered ones. Obviously, when nobody ever knows that. And cesium. There's also cesium, and there's enough cesium there in contained tons to meet the world's demand for a year. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, cesium is clearly a critical metal. Lithium is obviously a critical metal. Rubidium is in the US, not in the EU, for example. So it's a big project. It's a more advanced stage than most exploration projects. It's just simply interesting, and it ties in very well with what we're trying to do in Zimbabwe in terms of having regional kind of. You can't focus on everywhere in the world, but Southern Africa was a focus of ours, so it ties in well with that. And there must be economies of scale. The chief geologist is a Zimbabwean, for example. I mean, those things are, they will help.
Okay, and you've managed to get this subject to exercising that option for circa $1 million Canadian, and it was obviously worth a lot more a few years ago, and has had a fair bit put into the ground. How come Lepidico are disposing of this? Is it a case of like a distressed situation, and you're able to take advantage of it?
Well, taking advantage is a strong word. I'm sure they did their best to find the right buyer. But Lepidico went into administration, and in Australia. Okay. So I mean, it's a company which had very capable management, but nevertheless, they went into administration and now they're in liquidation. So there is also upside. I mean, if this arbitration comes in with a positive amount, they're going to keep quite a large share of that positive amount, and that's. But nevertheless, it's of course, I'm pleased with the deal, and I think they're pleased with the deal given the circumstances.
Good. So you're happy you've got this now under your wing. What can you do, if anything, during that option period? What will be the plans with the project?
Well, during the option period, it's not going to last very long. I mean, the arbitration is expected in October, maybe late October. Hopefully, not as long as November.
Okay.
My expectation is we'd exercise the option pretty soon after that. Certainly within 30 days. We need to study the small print. And in the meantime, we're doing some transition planning. I mean, I'm setting up transition teams in my own firm, and the existing management have been extremely cooperative. So they wanted to work as much as I did.
Okay.
And that will deal with mining plans, finance, all the other things you'd expect.
Okay, good. And then, subject to executing that option, you can then effectively get straight on with work on the ground. I would guess.
Yes, I mean it's there is a mining license. There is a EPL exclusive prospecting license, and yes, we have to submit plans, various things we do, but nevertheless, that's what we will do, I mean, it's an exciting property, and it needs to be worked on to make it more exciting. So that's obvious.
Excellent. Good. Well, thank you very much for your time and talking to us about that new option there for the company. So, John Wisbey, the Chairman and CEO of International Lithium Corp, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed coming on your show. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.